Hi everyone, welcome to the World VFX Day channel. If you haven't been here before, please check out our other content, but don't go anywhere now because we've got an amazing talk for you. And I just want to give a shout out of appreciation. This talk is in association with Animated Women UK, and I am thrilled to be joined by some of their members today. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. Let's have some quick intros and then we'll deep dive into everyone's roles a bit later. Jade, can I start with you first, please?
Yeah, of course. I'm Jade, and I'm currently working as pitch and development manager at Blinkink, and that's on the short form and commercial side.
Awesome. Alessandra?
Hi, hello everyone. I'm Alessandra. I've been working in the VFX industry for about 9 years, and I'm the senior color and image production engineer in ILM in London.
Awesome. Lydia?
Hello, everyone. I'm Lydia, and I'm currently based at Blazing Griffin as a visual effects producer.
Thank you. Adele?
Hi, I am Adele Khawli. I am a marketing and PR consultant. I'm just based outside of Glasgow. I've been working in the industry for about 10 years now.
Lovely. And last but not least, Lisa?
Hi there, I'm Lisa. I'm a self-employed voiceover artist, voiceover actress, actor and singer.
And of course, you have the best sound out of all
Do
of
I?
us because you're in your lovely room.
I'm in my booth.
A pro at all times. I love it.
It's a natural place for me to come for things like this.
Well, I'm really happy to have you all here, and we're such a varied amount of roles with us today as well, which is fantastic. So I'm really excited to learn more about your areas of the world in this weird and wonderful industry that we're in. So let's get stuck into the questions. The first one is a typical question, but how did you all get into the industry? Was it something that you dreamed of since you were at school, or did you find it by chance? Lisa, maybe we can come to you first this time.
Sure. So I kind of came across from singing, actually. So amazingly, I trained as a dancer, and then I had a dance career, and then I got into singing, and I was working in studios. And the way that I kind of came across and found this industry for me was that I was doing singing sessions on stuff that had voice recorded as well. And they'd let the voiceover artist go home and missed quite a few lines. So they asked if I could do the voiceover for the princess and I can't even remember now, it was a long time ago. But yeah, I was literally there as a singer in a studio and did some voice and thought, this is what I've always dreamed of doing, but I had no idea how to get into it. And it kind of came to me. So it was an odd one.
That's awesome. Right place, right time.
I think so, yeah.
Adele?
So, yeah, I kind of fell into my role. I originally wanted to be a graphic designer. Did that for a few years and kind of fell into studying animation because I kind of came across the course and it looked like it would be something fun. I didn't really have a plan. And then after I graduated, I applied for a job at Axis as an artist, but they thought it'd be a good fit for the marketing role that they had open. And then when I got in, I was just like, no, this is the role for me. Kind of like fit into all my strengths. I got to kind of work across a range of different projects with every team. Yeah, and I just kind of followed, like most of my career, I kind of feel like I just kind of followed what I enjoyed rather than having a set plan, which has worked out well, I think.
Yeah, I'd say so. Thank you. Lydia?
So, yes, I definitely always aspired to work in film and television. I was, yeah, from a very, very young age. And I went to uni. I did media at GCSE, film at A level, film at university. Um, and so I was very sort of dead set on this as my career path. And then specifically with visual effects, I actually started in editorial. So I got the opportunity to be a visual effects editor. So that's kind of my background as like editor, filmmaker, colorist. And then moved up to Glasgow, so I'm just down the road from Adele. Moved up to Glasgow and moved into production. So I've been doing that for the last kind of 2 years or so as a visual effects producer.
Nice. Not picked up any of the accent yet.
Actually, I have. I definitely have. Yeah, certain things I'm like, that's definitely not how I would say how you would say it down south. But yeah, it's great. I love it.
Oh, good. Alessandra.
Yeah, well, so I'd always loved cinema and movies. But then when I started studying, I just sort of naturally end up having a very technical background in computer engineering. And at times it felt like I was stuck, like I could never go into a creative industry of sorts now. And then I learned about like how many opportunities there are in the VFX industry for someone with a technical background. So basically that's how I ended up in VFX, because I was trying to sort of steer my knowledge into a more creative area. And I started as a technical assistant in ILM. Then I moved to the pipeline team, which takes care and supports and develops the various tools for the various departments. And that's when I started studying and training in color science.
Nice. And Jade.
Yeah, so I always knew I wanted to work somewhere in the creative industry, but I wasn't quite sure where initially. And yeah, I figured animation, just because I loved it so much, would be a good place to focus. Did art GCSE, A level, did animation at Kingston for uni as well. And then graduated in the first year of the pandemic, which wasn't particularly amazing in terms of opportunities at the time. So the first position I got was a remote job, and that was at Creative Access, working as a programs assistant and trainee, which meant that I was actually getting a lot of exposure to the industry anyway through working with Screen Skills and ITV on a few different programs that they were doing to do with film and TV as well. So I kind of used that to get a bit of experience production-wise to segue into what was eventually a production assistant role at a studio called Partisan. And then, yeah, worked my way up there. And I always had an interest in working in pre-development in particular. So when a role opened that was in that particular area, I went for it and got it. And I've been doing that kind of work since for the last couple of years.
Nice. And then my next question is on education. I know some of you have touched on that already, but is there anything else you wanted to dive deeper into that? Have you done maybe more recent courses, or do you want to give a shout out to any teachers or mentors over the years? Who wants to pick that one up?
I don't mind going first.
Yeah.
So like I mentioned before, where I worked with Screen Skills when I was at Creative Access, I was aware at the time that they had a mentorship scheme, which I'm aware I think they're still running at the moment. The first mentor I ever got in the industry through that program was James Butler, who was working as, I believe, head of layout at the time at Baker Davies on Peppa Pig, which is a great show, of course. But because I didn't know anything about the industry at that time, I would, go to their studio, do a bit of shadowing, learn about the different roles. And through that, I met a producer called Amari McCarthy, who gave me a little bit more information on how production worked in particular. And I feel like that was the point in my studies, because I believe I was in third year at the time, that I was like, oh, okay, well, production actually sounds like the right area for me to lean into. Because as much as I have a creative background, I do quite enjoy, a lot of different aspects of production. So past that point and being mentored by him, I feel like getting that perspective was so useful for me. And I've always advocated for everybody to have a mentor at different stages in their career. So yeah, having that perspective massively helped me.
Yeah, nice. Anyone else?
I might add something here.
Yeah.
So specifically, I have a very technical background. I have in computer engineering, and then I did another master here later on in London, which got me closer to London itself and to the opportunities that are here. But also, I would say that the majority of the knowledge that I use like day to day, it has come from the training that I've done internally, that I was offered internally in the company I work for, especially with my mentor, Mark. He's the senior color scientist in ILM London. He's one of the most knowledgeable people I know. And he's also, at this point in time, one of my best friends. So I'm very glad for the opportunities I was given internally here in ILM.
Awesome. Love that. Adele?
So, because I hadn't originally planned to do marketing, I'd kind of come from a creative background. I'd studied graphic design, animation, and digital art. When I first started in the kind of marketing role, it was a lot of on-the-job learning and I guess being self-taught, looking up courses, how to kind of like upskill. I kind of felt really lucky with my manager when I first started, Jill Wallace, who was really good. She didn't come from a marketing background either, but she was really good at, I guess, helping me kind of like break down problems. So I was never taught kind of like, okay, this is how you're going to tackle it. It was kind of like discussions around, right, okay, what did I need from it? I think it kind of like gave me a good mindset of, like it's okay not to have all the answers and kind of like where to find the answers and kind of like having like knowledge gaps isn't a problem. It's actually kind of stronger to kind of be like, right, okay, maybe I need some help here and like where can I go find that help? And then kind of as I progressed, I went on to do like a qualification in marketing. So I studied with the Chartered Institute of Marketing. And I'm actually still studying with them, doing like different courses. So yeah, I think it's like been a mix of formal education, on the job training, being able to recognize where maybe you need help actually helps you. And being able to kind of like speak to people about that and kind of like get that assistance. So yeah.
Yeah, you're right. The industry does not stop, especially when it comes to tech and software and everything. Thank you for that. Lisa, did you have anything?
Yeah, I guess I was going to add, because it's quite a different sort of journey for us, I think, as voice artists and voice actors. So definitely coming from sort of an acting background, I went to arts educational school and trained there, but that was pretty much in dance. I did the dance course there, and but we did do some drama, which I really enjoyed. But I would say definitely what I loved was the Actors Centre. Even if you're doing a TV commercial voiceover, you just to have that kind of belief in what you're saying, to act as the
Yeah.
character, or even if you're trying to sell a product, certainly in game and animation roles. I was like 10 years into my voiceover career before I discovered things like the voiceover network, Gravy for the Brain, great name. And I just did a course recently with Donald Peary, who's just, he's hilarious, but things like that, you can find these courses online where you connect online like we're doing now. I built this booth through a little course that was on the Gravy for the Brain website. I just clicked on build your own home studio and got and it's a big, good quality studio. So things like that, you can find extraordinary information online for our career now, whether it's YouTube or groups or meeting up in town and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
you find out the area you want to work in, and then, it's a new world, right? You can find stuff on YouTube, you can find stuff on groups. I'm sure
Yeah.
I'm not on Facebook, but there's Facebook groups, things like that. So I think that in that kind of brave new world where we can access information, we can perhaps kind of grow ourselves, whether it's in the voiceover acting or voiceover in general, by sort of finding those courses and those people that can train us. So
Yeah, you're right.
it's a
The
different
industry
way
is,
than
yeah, it's full of inspirational people, and because it's such a passionate industry,
mm,
there's so many people that are sharing their skills on platforms like YouTube, and we just have such a supportive industry as well when it comes to that side of things. So,
mm,
and it's inspirational as well when you're in a role for so long. It can maybe I've definitely been in this position where I felt like a bit in a rut, and then you're like, okay, maybe I'll try and learn something new, and then you find your passion for it again, or your love for it. Lydia, did you have anything to finish off that question?
Yeah, So I was lucky enough to, at my last company, do the producing for visual effects course with Escape Studios. So that's kind of I think it's an 8 or 10 week course evenings, which is good for if you're in full time work. But that was really great. It's a kind of run by Martin Gabriel, and he's kind of like a visual effects kind of veteran in terms of production side of things. Also gave me a lot more exposure to client visual effects production and their workflows. Because I've predominantly worked vendor side. So it's always good to see kind of the two sides of the coin as well, and understand what workflows your client team that you're working with have as well on their end. Um, but what I would say is that, if you can't kind of like, obviously a lot of it's self-taught, and you have like mentorship or training internally. I would also just ask the question to your employer and just say, would you be willing to kind of subsidize this, or would you be willing to, kind of pay for it for me, especially if they have partnerships with places like Escape Studios or Animated Women at UK, or whatever organization it is. A lot of the time there is funding out there. And if you want to upskill in your role, I wouldn't wait for it to come to you. I would just go out there and find something, even if it's just like, even if it's left field, as long as it's going to be kind of relevant to what you're doing in your role, because you're trying to inform yourself about the processes that are happening around you, the technical side of things, the pipeline side of things, you might want to even go into like color and, and all of that sort of thing. I've always done that, and I think that it's really helped me. And my mentorship with Animated Women UK has been like a lifeline for me. It's been so good. My mentor is Isabella Ippolito, and she worked at like Netflix Animation. She's now based at Pixarmondo. She's a pipeline TD, but when I was a visual effects editor, that actually really helped me. But it's also having someone that's not in your same department can kind of give you perspective on your role, and be a little bit removed from it. That's actually really kind of like valuable insight into, you can pick this up, you can put this down, and
Yeah.
just giving you a bit more kind of perspective is always a good thing as well. Like
Yeah.
mentorship, training, development, and reaching out to your company to say, I really want to upskill in this. Would you be willing to put me forward for it? And yeah.
Yeah, totally agree.
Just
You do.
Sorry, I was just gonna add because throughout my career I've used mentors as well, and I feel like mentorships really, really help to have that outside perspective. And I guess like them not being kind of like from the company. So I feel like having mentors has been, maybe I'm not touched on this, but like one of the biggest things to kind of build confidence, maybe more than upskill. Having a sounding board is like so valuable. And I've had mentors through like the Chartered Institute of Marketing, but also I have reached out to some people in the past and just been like, hey, I'd really love to, like learn more about this, or, it'd be great to have a perspective on like a project that I'm doing that I've never done before. And maybe want that kind of like guidance, or just again that sounding board. So yeah, I'm a big advocate for mentors.
Yeah. Who else has got a mentor on this talk?
I'd love a
Anyone else?
mentor.
Yeah, I would. I'd like a life
It's-
mentor,
I
please.
love a life, exactly, for everything.
Yeah. I must shout out Access VFX as well. They actually, for our global audience watching right now, they have a more of a global footprint as well. So check them out. And Jade, you mentioned Screen Skills. They're awesome. I've
Yeah,
used them
amazing.
before. And yeah, if you are thinking about this and you don't have the money, or your company can't provide that, then there's definitely quite a few free courses available, depending on what you're looking for. So just do your research, and I'm sure you'll find something. And even if you've seen someone take part in a course, perhaps you could just reach out to them and ask them about it before you invest in it. Might be a good thing. I have to shout out VFX Apprentice as well, because I'm actually doing a course with them. It's a beginner's boot camp on VFX.
Wow.
And it's quite gaming focused. So it's all quite new to me, and I'm learning Unreal. And oh my goodness, there is a lot involved in that. So, and I'm not an artist, but it's just giving me a much deeper understanding of the world that I've been in for the last 7 years. So I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, love all of those answers. Thank you so much. So let's dive a bit deeper into your roles. I've got amazing different roles on the chat today, and maybe you can just give us, for the benefit of our viewers who might not know about that part of the industry, Alessandra, I would like to start with you first, if that's okay.
Sure. I'll gladly talk about my role, because I don't think like it's a role that many people know. I certainly wasn't aware of this role when I started in the VFX industry. I'm not going to lie. So I work in the color and image team, which is a small team in ILM, but I would say a very mighty team. And the first thing that comes to mind when I say that I work in color science is people assume that I am a colorist, but they're very different jobs. So what a colorist is, a creative artist who manipulates color for aesthetic purposes. As a color scientist or as a color engineer, I work with physics and maths and computer science to basically maintain the integrity of the footage that goes through the pipeline. So from the camera to the final products. And it's a job that has allowed me to interface with many different projects, with many different technologies, from cameras to LED walls, and it gives me the chance to even be on set every once in a while when that's needed, which is always exciting. And it's a job that I don't like. I think right now there's it's more known, and there are maybe courses and studies that you can do more specifically for this job. But when I started, there wasn't much material around as well. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's never boring.
Yeah, I bet. And it's awesome that you can go on set as well. Not every role in the industry gets to do that. Lydia, can we come to you next?
So, what do I do? Yeah, so my kind of day to day is pretty varied, especially because I've recently kind of changed company. At my current company, we're kind of establishing visual effects workflows, because they kind of operate as sort of a post house, a like picture. So they're a post house. They do games, and they're also kind of pictures as well. So it's very kind of all encompassing. And they don't necessarily have a dedicated visual effects team in house, but they're trying to set that up at the moment. So I'm kind of coming in right at sort of ground level and trying to implement those workflows, similar to what Alessandra was saying, is like kind of setting up the pipeline and streamlining and getting all of the sort of industry standard tools in place. So I kind of do everything from scheduling, managing the artist's time, budgeting. We also bid projects, film and episodic, kind of throughout the life cycle of a project. Sometimes we can come in at development stage or pre-production stage. Sometimes we'll come in right at the end, if they're already in post, and sometimes vendors can kind of fall by the wayside, and or they have more more work than they had anticipated originally, and so they come to us and say, please, can you kind of pick up these shots? I work with freelancers, contractors, and I'm trying to think what else I do.
I mean, that sounds like a lot already.
Basically, yeah, sort of kind of end-to-end support throughout the kind of post-production cycle. And I work with client teams, other vendors, and also some 3D and other 2D partners based in the UK, usually based in the UK. So yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Busy, busy. Jade, can we come to you next, please?
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, the title is Pitch and Development Manager, but it does encompass a few different things. I would say it's otherwise known as a creative producer as well, I think, as some other studios. But the way it works in short form, because that covers commercials and music videos and short films, is that it's usually good to have somebody in production who can kind of manage the teams from that perspective. Commercials usually tend to be quite a quick turnaround in terms of agencies and record labels coming to you and saying, hey, you know, we have this really cool idea and we'd like to make that a reality, but we want to work with you on that development process. So what we'll do from that stage is, you know, consult our teams, you know, so the head of production, different production designers, for example, directors in particular. We have a roster at Blink of 15 to 16 directors. So we'll have a think about who the best talent is for that. And then we'll have them work on a treatment during the pitch, which is a lovely document that kind of just details their scripts, visuals, and what they want out of the project from what they've seen from the client brief. So I kind of manage that in terms of working quite closely with the director to script edit their scripts, help them find talent. So concept artists, writers, production designers, art directors, and then also just generally to manage a team of creative assistants that we have in-house. So they kind of manage like treatment designing, visual researching, animatic editing. So kind of managing that immediate team when it comes to pre-production development as well. And then part of the role as well is like generally finding new talent. So the question is, when we're looking for directors of all levels and all different kinds, you know, where do you find that kind of talent? And the answer generally tends to be film festivals. They might have uploaded a short onto YouTube or Animation Showcase, for example. So just being able to dedicate the time to, again, seeing what's out there, what graduates coming into the field, and yeah, kind of building those relationships and then making sure that we can work with them in the future. And I'm doing that as well at the moment with Film London. We have a co-program called Flame In where there's 4 directors who are working on short films at the moment with us. So I manage that program as well as, looking after lots of new talent, basically.
That sounds fun. I'm sure you're going to get a lot of emails now with pictures and people looking for work. So, yeah, I love that. Lisa, can we come to you?
Yes. So I'm a voiceover artist and an actress and a singer, as I said. But with regard to the sort of voice work that I do, I will get an audition through my agent, or I will get a client coming straight through to me via my website or an email they've already got. And then that audition will come through and it'll either be just a picture of the character and then a general breakdown, perhaps covering what accent they want, whether they want it American, British, whatever, or a slight tinge of something else in there, which is always fun. Or the biggest thing at the moment is world voice. So that'll be where you can't actually put on a finger where they come from. So it has like little, maybe I might do something like a slight American, English, Italian, you know, you'll sort of add something else in there so that nobody can say where you come from. That's quite big at the moment. And then you will send back this audition, which is as close to what you think they're after. You might be asked to do a couple of takes. And usually on the second take, you go a bit mad. You'll sort of give them something completely different just to show your versatility. But yeah, I will send that back and I will basically never hear anything. So you send it into the void and just fingers crossed, or as I've always sort of trained myself to do, walk away and get on with life, or do the next audition. Or you get a phone call saying you've been penciled, or there's a second audition, third audition, whatever. And then basically you'll get that call that says, or the email that says you've got the job and the dates that you're going to work. And then you go into a studio or you record from your own studio like this here. And then if you go into the London studios or studios further afield, you will turn up and sometimes, whether it's game or animation, you might not get that much information. So you will literally be turning up almost blind. You know the character, you might know a little bit about it, But once you get into that booth or we get into the studio and the door's closed, then they won't be so concerned about the NDA about that you've already had to sign, by the way. Then you will get much more information about that character so you can really embody it. And that's where your acting comes in. You literally become this character. So you know its background, why it's acting the way it is, what's gone on before that particular line. And you can be in there for an hour to 4 hours. I don't think I've ever done longer than sort of 4 hours at a time. But if you're doing long form, so on the games that I've worked, and I've done 10 games now, on some of them it's been 3 years, working 3 years. That's not non-stop. I'll do maybe a few weeks work, and then I won't come in for a while they carry on sort of writing and producing the game or the animation, and then you'll come back in, you'll do more lines, etc. But as I said before, often I'm alone in the booth. So it's quite rare for me. I think it's a few times now I've done it where it's been a group session or maybe just one other person that I'm acting up against in the booth. So that's the kind of the voiceover sort of stuff. And then I've also done theme tunes for animations, which is great fun. So with something like Dr. Panda, which Dave Peacock directed me on that, called it an earworm, an earworm of a theme tune. That, for instance, the spec on that was American accent, very sort of upbeat but sweet and approachable. So we'll have a run through, I'll listen to the track over and over again, and then we start recording. Usually I do one take of a theme tune because then it sounds like it's really all kind of one thing. That sounds great when you do it that way. With voiceover character recording, you might do 3 lines and then it'll be a different scene in the animation or the game that this character's coming in. So then we'll have to stop, discuss where the storyline is up to, what's happened, why the character's upset or why the character's jubilant or angry or whatever. You always get good information before you go in to have the record, and then they'll say, okay, when you're ready, and then you're red lighted and off you go.
Nice.
I think that's it. Yeah, if there's anything else you kind of want to know, I guess that covers.
I mean, I really want to put you on the spot and ask for an accent, but I won't do that to you unless you really want to.
There's character. Well, I think my reels say it all. I mean, they are just nuts. But you have to kind of show your versatility in a 2-minute reel. So on my website, lisagraydon.com, is my animation and my game reel, and my animation reel is nuts. But yeah, so you can kind of, I get booked quite a lot for kids voices, so you kind of had to make it much sort of younger and kind of more vulnerable or whatever. And then older would be like a game voice I've just done would be with Mio. That was very much a kind of, now will be the time that you, it's that kind of ethereal sound. And then Battlefield 6 we did, that was crazy. We were, that was with Kate Saxon directing. It was just nuts. We had to wear really heavy weighted rucksacks, hold dumbbells, and run around actual fields, mic'd up to, move it. It was all that kind of thing. So yeah, it was just, I was a soldier and a commander and what else, and a radio op, all that kind of stuff. So
sounds awesome.
It's so varied. Yeah. It's really, really nuts. And then I've done characters that don't speak. They just make noises, like Dr. Beanie in Free Fire. That character is literally like this. All that kind of thing, you spin, all that kind of thing. And animals landing and being hurt and walking off angry, which animal? This one's a bird. So, that kind of, the sound of a bird landing, how does that sound? So yeah, it's just nuts.
I never
know. I never know what I'm doing each week, but that's why I do it, right? Because it's just nuts. It's so much fun.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Thank you for giving us an insight. We'll definitely check out your website after this.
I apologize in advance. It's just crazy.
No, I love it. Thank you. Adele, going to follow this up. Can you do voices?
I can't do voices.
She's got a cat.
My cat has joined me. And I
got your Dr. No impression.
You don't need to do an animal sound. You have a cat.
Yeah. She loves to join when I'm on calls. I did tell her not to disturb me during this, but she doesn't listen.
Typical cat.
Yeah. But So what do? I guess to kind of like sum it up, I help studios develop strategies and narratives to communicate who they are, what they do, and make sure those stories land in the right way with the right audiences, and fit the goals of that studio. So that could be anything from developing campaigns, um, helping to planning events, doing behind the scenes for projects, creating talks, um, and it's all kind of helping studios build that messaging to help them shape that perception. I work quite closely with kind of like the sales and business development teams, project teams, at times kind of like and if we're doing like internal comms, HR, with recruitment teams if they're looking to kind of create campaigns around um, recruitment. So it's very, very varied, depending on the goals of the company. But that's what I love about it. It's working within lots of different markets, talking to lots of different audiences, getting behind the scenes on projects and kind of finding out what they did, how they did it, what were the challenges, how did they overcome them. So yeah, very varied. Yeah, I think that describes
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, very varied indeed, and very important, because otherwise no one's going to know what studios have been working on unless marketing and PR are getting them out there. So thank you,
Very,
everybody.
I was just going to add, very important now during this kind of market, kind of to differentiate yourself from
Exactly.
other studios, and
Yes.
highlight capabilities, USPs. Um, so are we the most important department in the industry? Maybe.
Well, I'm going to say yes because my other job is marketing and PR. So I'm with you. And that segues really nicely, actually, into the next question. And I know that the time is flying by, and I'm loving all of these answers. But we can't have this talk right now without just talking about the industry. Anyone watching who's a little bit kind of worried about coming into the industry, perhaps. I think the industry is always, when I say the industry, VFX and animation predominantly, but we've always had a bit of a roller coaster ride since day one, but arguably more so in the last couple of years. So I just wanted to ask you, I'll just open it up to everybody. How has the last couple of years and all the ups and downs affected you personally in your career, if at all? And generally, how you're feeling about the industry and where it is and where it's headed. Anyone want to volunteer to go first for that one? Lydia?
Yeah, sure. So I think in terms of my sort of personal experience, I think it's definitely been, um, it's been like a difficult time to kind of feel like you are maintaining your momentum. It's pretty precarious in terms of visual effects and animation at the moment. And I still know a lot of my network who are out of work, or they, might be on short-term contracts or things like this. So it does feel a lot more unstable. Sorry, is that the right word? Unstable
Yeah.
than it was
Yeah.
previously. And I think it's taxing, like, because as an individual, you constantly have to be like hyper vigilant, like, and looking for work constantly, even if you're in a staffed full-time permanent, role, and you're constantly kind of searching all of your different channels and avenues to be like, what's my next step? And it's hard to work like that, and it's hard to feel any sort of kind of like it's hard to be present, and it's hard to kind of take stock of like where you are now and how far you've come. So I think that's definitely something that has been quite challenging for me personally. You know, thinking back to when I was just like, you know, very small and thinking, wow, imagine if I could work on these things. And it's like, and then you get there and you're kind of you're constantly like having that sensation of like, I have to prove myself, I have to one up myself, I have to keep retraining, I have to keep upskilling, I have to keep looking for the next thing, the next opportunity. It's yeah, it's pretty hard, like, but I think for people coming into the industry, what I would say is, you know, as difficult as that can be once you're in the industry, there are so many different now schemes out there. Even compared to when I started, you know, and when I was a graduate, and it is a booming industry in the UK. You know, there are some absolute titans of industry based in the UK, and they all run some schemes for you know, junior animators and like sort of junior employees coming into visual effects as well. So definitely be on the lookout for those. And I know that it's competitive, but I think there are lots of there are lots of different ways and routes into industry, and they are out there, and it's tough, but I think I feel quite hopeful about it, and I like, you know, cautiously optimistic is always the kind of the motto that everyone has at the moment, but I think that that's always the best the best way to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a fairly accurate pinpoint on where we are right now. And yeah, like you say, it's important to kind of carve out time just for yourself as well. And it is pretty stressful time for a lot of people. There's a lot of people out of work. It was around half the industry at some point last year, and need to get some more stats on that where that is now. But yes, if you are in the UK watching this, I just want to shout out the Film and TV charity. They offer a lot of resources. If you need financial, legal, or any other support, then check them out. And check out the World VFX Day website as well, because we have a list of support links on there as well. Thank you for that, Lydia. Anyone else have anything to add?
I was and like I was in the position where a company I was working for went into administration, so kind of the effects of that and what that like feels like usually when that happens, it is so abrupt, you don't see it coming. Um and there's all the kind of emotions that go in it. Like where I was Axis, I'd been at the company I think like almost 9 years. And so much of my identity, I guess, kind of felt like tied up into my role. Like I felt like I was Adele Khawli, head of marketing at Axis, and kind of when that was taken away, it was like, oh no. And then you have all these kind of like irrational fears, like, am I ever going to work again? It it does kind of, uh, I guess, like eat your confidence a little bit. And then there's all the kind of like other stuff that comes with it, like the financial stress, um, the toll it has on just kind of like day to day things. But I am also cautiously optimistic. I think like, you know, when that happened, I had so many people reach out and so many people, you know, like trying to help. Hayley was actually one of the first people that reached out, asking if it's okay.
Yeah.
Considering at the time we'd only like, I think we'd only met like once or twice to kind of like hear the news and reach out. And there was like so many stories like that. And there's so many stories in the, like different communities coming together to kind of help people that are going through that. Um, and like even with when all that happened, like the team that was all affected, like we still have like a Slack channel where, you know, we have catch ups. So like even though it was like a really hard time, beautiful sense of community afterwards. And yeah, the film and TV chef charity were kind of great. I used them when I was going through that. So yeah, it's hard to deal with that inconsistency and instability. But you do kind of build resistance. And there is it does feel like this industry is shifting business models, and there is very much a sense that things need to change, and how are we going to tackle that? I don't think anybody has like the answers yet. But I think that the conversations that are happening in the industry just now feels very hopeful. Dog didn't like my answer. Yeah, so I feel hopeful. Like obviously it's very sad happening, and when it's happening to other people, and it's like people's individual stories as well, it's like hard to hear.
It's really interesting. I've been self-employed all my life. I was just saying, Hayley. So that kind of roller coaster, it's that sort of self-employed experience of just not knowing what next week's going to bring is something that I am so used to. And I think the only way that both my husband and I are he's self-employed, I should say. He's in music, and I'm in all the other things I do. And I think it's the only way that we've survived personally is because we do so many different things. So when one thing goes quiet, the other things we can continue on with. And we always keep the bread and butter jobs going, always have, never been sort of too proud, even when we're really, things are going really great. We never, ever let the bread and butter slip because we know that it goes like this. But I think definitely the people that I've known within the animation world, especially in these last few years, that are even at the peak of their role, they're really well respected. They paid their dues. They've been in the business. They've done amazing work. I think they've very much been with the kind of bag under the desk for a few years, waiting for that sort of tap on the shoulder, which is just horrible. But I do think that I've seen a few sort of things, even when it's on LinkedIn or whatever, of new platforms being built for animation to be put out there. So it's not dependent on the big names to get stuff seen. And that's really interesting. And I've seen a lot of independent animators calling upon people like us that have a broadcast quality booth to do the voiceover for their characters, for their stop motion or for their 3D, 2D animations. And they've got them on TV. They've got them like Trevor Hardy did a Right Royal Sprout, and that was an animation that I did quite a few voices in, and that went on Christmas Eve. I think it was either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day morning. So you can get things seen and get things out there, even if you're just an independent and you're still passionate about what you do, but you're having trouble getting that job with that, that job security that you craved so much. There are other ways. Think outside the box. If you're really passionate about this, you will find a way. And also gather together with people, like you say, animated women, this kind of thing where we're talking together. Find your people, gather a team together, and don't let anything stop you. So, like I say, coming from the self-employed angle, definitely the way that I survive is because I do lots of different things, whether it's singing, session work, TV and film, acting, games, commercials, radio ads. There's so many different areas that voice is needed, that face is needed. And also do some favors for people, help people out. In lockdown, I was helping graduates out who were trying to finish their animation films to graduate. And I was saying, have you thought of adding audio on it? So we would do sounds or effects, or this character doesn't speak. That's okay. We can do efforts. Or this kind of thing. One girl had a dog and I was like, or this kind of thing, little sounds like that. It just brought it alive more. Took me 4 minutes to give her some audio for free. Help people out, be charitable and just, I don't know, get your voice out there if you're doing what I do. And like, these guys are so amazingly talented at what they do, but when you're riding those rocky ups and downs, just keep visual maybe as well. I'm rubbish at that. I'm rubbish at social media. I need some help from these guys. But, you know, I think definitely letting people know that you're alive, letting people know what you do is so important, isn't it? That's definitely where I need help, because that is something that I think is super important, but is not something that comes naturally to me at all. So, yeah, that's just my kind of feeling on this, because it has been rocky, definitely in the last few years. Definitely feels like things are getting better, though, from the meetings I've been to recently. You know.
Definitely more positive conversations from my perspective. And I talk to a lot of studios. Obviously, there's still a lot of uncertainty and a lot of unfortunate news about studios and other things right now. But yeah, it's both worrying from a perspective of our sort of, some would say, archaic business models that have led to a lot of downfalls for us as an industry, in my opinion. But also on the other side, and we don't have a question on AI, but that is definitely one of the things that's been that sort of, oh, it's good for this, but it's maybe not so good for this. But I think what's exciting is that our industry is genuinely filled with not only amazingly creative people, but extremely technical and innovative people. And we are at the forefront of innovation in filmmaking and gaming and everything else that requires VFX and animation. So that really gives me hope that we will find a way, however long it takes, to make this industry better. So that's what I'm hopeful for. Thank you for that, Lisa. Anyone else want to add to that before we move on? I know we're running out of time. No? Okie dokes. So let's touch quickly on hopes for the future, and that can be about your own role, your career, or about the industry again, where you hope it's heading. Jade, can we come to you?
Yeah, I mean, so I've been working in short form development for a couple of years now. But I remember when I first started working in this line of work, I was quite keen on doing it in long form as well. So that's something that I've been slowly kind of integrating across. Obviously, we have Blink Industries too, which is our long form side. And yeah, I think I've been trying to upskill in different ways, like we were talking about before. So one thing that I've been doing is I just finished a postgrad at the NFTS, who do really good part-time and evening courses as well. So I was doing that for a year and a half in script development, working with a writer on their pilot. But that really helped. And I think for me, Lydia, you were kind of touching on this before, but it is quite a slow burn, I think, the more years you spend in the industry. And I think eventually, you can get to where you want to. But yeah, I think it's just kind of working within the parameters of what you have, getting to know more people, continuing to network and sustain your career, while also trying to avoid burnout at the same time, of course. So yeah, I think for me, it's enjoying the current role I have, and I think seeing where it leads me, but I'd be quite keen in the future to get into commissioning as well. So yeah, I think that's just something that I have in mind for the future. 5-10 year plan.
Yeah, nice. Love that. Alessandra, can we come to you next?
Sure. I feel the same about my career. I feel like I like where I am now. And I'm just open to see where that ends up next. It's been a little bit like this. I feel like my whole career, like where I felt like I would take hopefully the good decision at the right time, but I never had a long-term plan, and that's still valid. Although now I've been working in the VFX industry for quite a while, and I really like it here. But for the industry in general, I think it's pretty much what has already been said. So it's how good VFX can be at being resilient and adapting to new technologies, to what's coming next, to never stopping, and just shape shifting as time goes. So, for example, I'm thinking about all the ways that we've used VFX in recent years, which are sort of a little bit outside the usual TV shows or movies field. So, for example, we work to use VFX in to experiences such as ABBA Voyage. That's been a great project to work on, or even art exhibitions we contributed to. So there's the art exhibition Infinity Bodies by Wayne McGregor that's been in Somerset House, I think till last February. So there's definitely new technologies and new opportunities that are arising, that will arise, and as you guys said, it's all about keeping on changing and adapting, and not both personally and for the industry. And I'm as hopeful as you guys are at the moment.
Awesome. Who next? Adele?
Hopes for the future. I think kind of going back to that being cautiously optimistic, the conversations around business models. So I think like I hate saying this, the convergence between the different markets, like you're seeing, like game engines applied on kind of more film and TV. You're seeing kind of cinematic storytelling and storytelling kind of like crossing between film and TV and games. I think that's really exciting. Yeah, so it kind of feels like the entertainment industry is kind of merging. I am maybe not excited. Am I excited? I'm a wee bit excited. Like I've been doing like some different courses on kind of like AI marketing. So that's been kind of like fun to learn. And that's kind of like made me feel a little bit hopeful about how AI is being used. Like the way it's kind of taught is that like experience and knowledge is a filter or lens that goes kind of through AI. Without that, it kind of doesn't make AI redundant, but you're not going to get the same result. So you're always going to need that experience and knowledge. I think it's going to take a while before that becomes stable. So yeah.
Nice. Thank you very much. Lisa?
Yeah, I think it's just really interesting hearing how it affects each one of us, whatever's going on, but also the AI thing. I think with the AI thing, there's been so much talk in the voice kind of industry. People are so concerned about it. And if I talk personally for a second, I've actually done quite a lot of work replacing AI when people have used it for their companies, because they've just felt that they've had quite a few complaints actually, because there's like a lack of soul, for want of a better word, in that voice. And so I've been replacing quite a lot, which has been really interesting and not what I expected at all. I've done a few jobs like that over the last sort of 2-3 years. And then things like NPCs in games, there was a whole concern that they'd be just using AI for that. I haven't seen that at all. Games have been crazy busy for me in the last 4 years. Animation, not so much, but definitely within the last 6 months, definitely there's a lot more auditions and a few jobs that I've done, still unfortunately NDA'd, but I think that it's definitely coming up. And the hopeful thing I'm seeing when I go to lots of talks and meetings and drinks and things with animation, and what I'm definitely seeing is people that have come away from big companies, whether they've decided to leave or whether sadly they've been made redundant, they are getting together. They're networking on LinkedIn together, and they're forming groups, whether they're actually starting official companies, but they are definitely coming together and using their incredible knowledge and amazing talent and connections, all the artists they know, etc., to think up new ways of getting their ideas, stories, series, films, whatever out there. And as I say, there's different platforms being talked about at the moment, which I find really interesting, not just sort of YouTube series and things like that going on, but other platforms being built. So I just heard about that the other day, so I'll get more information on that to send
I'd
through
love to
to
know
you.
more
But
about that.
yeah, that's kind of a new thing I heard about. And so I do think that, no one is sitting still. And I think that's the most exciting thing, especially about the UK. We're not the type that we will sit and go, oh God, this is so hard. But I think that the one thing we're all really bad at, if you don't mind me saying, is self-care. I think that, and I'm terrible at that as well, that just if you have a day where you don't have work, if you're self-employed, or you've just been made redundant, just take that moment just to just to be still and just have a day off and just to pat yourself on the back for how far you've come. Because I don't think we do that. I think we're very by nature, we just sort of keep pushing on. And I do think self-care is so important, especially in the creative world, creative industry. So that's something I'm really big on at the moment. Really trying to encourage that with people I know, but even with
Nice.
animated women. So yeah, I think that I definitely feel like there's definitely a very much more hopeful attitude within the last 6 months even. So
Yeah.
within the
Nice.
whole industry. So yeah.
Good. Love to hear it. And Lydia, anything to add to that?
So I'm just on a personal basis quite excited to start working on some features because I don't have as much experience um as a visual effects producer on sort of feature films. So that's kind of in the pipeline, and it's been nice to kind of dip into scripts recently, and just that side of things, kind of doing visual effects breakdowns and bidding from scripts. It's always nice to have a bit of variety in your day to day, not just to be doing sort of the same run of the mill things. So, yeah, that's been really exciting for me and sort of like a personal kind of goal of mine. Um, and in terms of other kind of outreach work that I'm doing at the moment, I've been kind of quite active recently in the last couple of years, especially in Scotland, working with Into Film and other sort of partner organisations to do workshops, webinars, and um, like activity sessions with school children who are making their decisions about their I always forget what they're called here, but like their Nat fives and their hires. So GCSEs and A levels. Um so that's been really cool, like a really like lovely kind of change of pace is just going out and um putting yourself back in that frame of mind of when you're just young and kind of like had all of these sort of decisions to make about what you wanted to go into and whether or not you did art or drama or and kind of getting all of those like very fresh kind of green like conversations and questions kind of at like coming at you and you're like, oh, this is great because it just puts me right back to where I started. um yeah, I'm excited to do a bit more of that as well. It just kind of really I guess like invigorates me in my role and my day to day, and you can kind of get bogged down with it, and then sometimes you just kind of need to take a like Lisa was saying, sort of just um take a break, kind of step away and kind of look at things from the outside in, because when you're in it and you're saturated by it, it can be pretty overwhelming. And I also do say this in schools. I do say like you have to be emotionally resilient, and I know that that's quite a big kind of but I'm kind of trying to set their expectations from the off really, and just say it's challenging, it's hard work, it's long days, it's long hours, you have a lot of pressure on you. So it's it's good to kind of say it's a wonderful job, it's a wonderful industry to work in, and it's so incredible to be like surrounded by such talented people every single
Yeah.
day, and they're really kind of just championing you and propelling you forward, and you're
Yeah.
all working as a team, and it is a dream. Like, it's hard to see that and on your in your day to day, but it is like a dream to kind of be there and be working with those people, and to see all of these projects come to fruition and like and
Yeah.
on your
Just
screens.
seeing, yeah, it's a wonderful industry that we work in, regardless of the ups and downs, and we're all in it because we're super passionate about it, which is very lucky for a lot of our clients, that we are so passionate about things in some respects. But I think it genuinely is one of the best industries I've ever worked in, and I've worked in different industries, and just being able to chat to you all today as well has genuinely inspired me too. So I wanted to thank you all for that. And we are very much out of time, but did anyone have any final words before we wrap up? We've had a lot of great advice today and comments.
I'd just like to say, the only thing I'd like to say is whatever you do, whatever you end up doing, if you're a young person coming out of school, out of uni, out of college, whatever, it's just the basic things like be a really nice person, be kind, compassionate, be on time, or be early, actually. Don't be on time, be early. And just rock up with your best work and just give it all you've got, because if you can just climb that ladder, you will climb that ladder by being seen to be passionate and enthusiastic and, I don't know, just those basics, just we don't talk about them enough, I suppose. It's so important, isn't it? It really
Yeah,
is.
exactly. It's a big industry, but it's also small. So impressions go a long way. And I've loved everyone that I've met in the industry, like genuinely. So I hope to meet you all one day face to face. Adele, I've met you quite a few times now
You're sick of meeting me at this point.
different conferences and things. But that's the other great thing. There's so many events, meetups, conferences around the world. So yeah, there's a lot of inspiration out there. So I hope that all our viewers watching today have taken something away from this. And please do leave your comments and questions, and we will reply to you. And feel free to add us on LinkedIn, follow up with us. Let's connect and keep the conversations going. So thank you, everyone, for joining today.
Thank
Lovely.
you.
And thank you, Animated Women UK.
Yay.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.